Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some pretty fascinating stuff today, alchemy and Kabbalah.
Yeah, this should be fun.
We've got some lecture notes here. Knowledge, Lecture 2. Looks like someone's ready to unlock some ancient secrets. What do you say we jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, the lecture mentions these three principles of nature: sulfur, mercury, and salt. They're even given these, like, symbols. F, H, and G. I have to admit, that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, those symbols are definitely a little cryptic at first glance, but basically they're representing the fundamental building blocks of the alchemist's worldview.
Building blocks, like, of the universe.
Exactly, and not just the physical universe, but also our inner world, our thoughts, emotions, even our spiritual nature.
So it's not just about literal chemicals in a lab.
Not at all. Think of them more as universal forces or energies that are constantly interacting and shaping reality.
Okay, so walk me through it. What do these principles actually represent?
Well, sulfur is that active, fiery energy. It's the drive to create, to transform, to assert yourself in the world, like the spark that ignites change.
Got it. So what about mercury?
Mercury is more about flow and adaptability. It's like water, it takes the shape of whatever container it's in. It's about communication, flexibility, going with the flow.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. And what about salt? What's its role in this cosmic recipe?
Salt is the grounding force. It represents stability, structure, the things that hold everything together, kind of like the foundation of a house.
So it's like these three forces, the fiery, the flowing, and the grounding, they're all working together to create everything we experience.
Exactly. It's all about the interplay between these forces, both within us and in the world around us.
I like that. It's kind of like a cosmic dance, isn't it?
It is. And the lecture goes on to say that these principles are reflected in everything, even the metals and planets. Like lead is associated with Saturn, gold with the sun, and so on.
Wait, what? Metals and planets, how does that work?
Well, that's where this idea of correspondence comes in. The alchemists believed that everything in the universe is interconnected, that there are hidden relationships between seemingly unrelated things. So they saw the metals as reflections of the planets and vice versa.
So it's like a giant cosmic mirror. Like what's
Yeah.
happening up there in the cosmos is also happening down here on Earth, and even within us.
Exactly. It's this beautiful concept of the macrocosm and the microcosm, the universe as a whole reflecting in each individual being.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. So does that mean I have a little bit of Saturn and Sun inside me?
You could say that. And it's not just a poetic notion, it's a fundamental principle in both alchemy and Kabbalah. By understanding the patterns and relationships in one realm, we can gain insights into the other.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together, but the lecture also throws in all this, like, mystical jargon, like Sol Philosophorum and the Green Lion. What are those all about?
Ah, yes. The alchemists loved their cryptic language, but it's not just random words, it's all very symbolic.
Okay, so break it down for me. What do those terms actually mean?
Well, Sol Philosophorum literally means son of the philosophers. It's not about actual gold, but about the pure essence of gold, the perfected spirit.
So it's more like a metaphor for spiritual enlightenment.
Exactly. And the green lion, well, that's a symbol of raw life force, that untamed energy that pushes for growth and transformation.
So like the force of nature within us.
Exactly. But here's the catch. It's also associated with this idea of mortification, which means things have to break down before they can be rebuilt into something new.
So it's like in order to grow, sometimes we have to let go of old patterns, even if it feels a bit painful or destructive.
Precisely. It's like how a seed has to break open in order to sprout. And speaking of destruction, the lecture also mentions the black dragon, which represents putrefaction and decay. But it's not just about things falling apart, it's also about the potential for transformation that lies within those processes.
Okay, so even in the darkest moments, there's a chance for something new to emerge.
Absolutely. And that theme of transformation is really at the heart of these traditions. It's not just about understanding the universe, it's about using that understanding to transform ourselves.
I'm definitely sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into transformation, the lecture starts talking about these, like, elemental beings. Gnomes, sylphs, undines, salamanders. We're talking about mystical fairies here.
Not quite fairies, but the idea is similar. Think of them more as personified forces of nature. They appear in a lot of different spiritual traditions, highlighting the interconnectedness of the spiritual and the natural world.
So it's like each element has its own spirit, its own unique personality.
You could say that. And then there are the cherubim, which are described as even more powerful beings associated with the elements and the zodiac. It's like each element has its own guardian angel, so to speak.
Guardian angels connected to the zodiac. Now we're getting into some serious mystical territory.
Well, the lecture calls them the living powers of the tetragrammaton on the material plane. And the tetragrammaton, by the way, refers to the unpronounceable name of God in Hebrew.
Okay, you've officially piqued my curiosity. Tell me more about these cherubim and how they connect to the zodiac.
Each cherub is linked to one of the fixed signs of the zodiac. Aquarius for air, Leo for fire, Taurus for earth, and Scorpio for water. They're like intermediaries between the divine and the material, channeling those specific energies.
So it's like a whole system of cosmic energy flowing through these elemental beings and the zodiac.
Exactly. It's all about understanding those connections and how they influence our lives.
This is seriously fascinating. But then the lecture throws us headfirst into Kabbalah and that Tree of Life diagram. I have to admit, that looks a bit intimidating.
Yeah, the Tree of Life can be a bit overwhelming at first glance, but essentially it's a roadmap of reality. It shows how divine energy flows down from the source to create the universe and everything in it.
A roadmap of reality. So it's like a cosmic family tree.
Exactly. It has 10 spheres called Sephiroth, each representing a different aspect of God or existence. And those spheres are connected by 22 paths, and there's this amazing serpent of wisdom weaving its way through it all.
A serpent of wisdom. What's that all about?
It represents the path of spiritual evolution, the journey of consciousness as it descends into matter and then ascends back toward the divine.
So we're all on this winding path, constantly evolving and learning.
Exactly. And the Tree of Life gives us a framework for understanding that journey.
I can see how that would be a powerful tool for self-discovery. And speaking of opposites, the lecture also mentions these two pillars flanking the Tree of Life. Is that where the whole yin and yang of Kabbalah comes in?
You got it. The white pillar represents the active masculine principle, often associated with Adam and light. And the black pillar represents the passive feminine principle, often associated with Eve and darkness.
So it's all about finding that balance between opposing forces, just like in the alchemical principles.
Precisely. And that balance is reflected not only in the cosmos, but also within each of us.
Okay, we've got our building blocks, our cosmic map, and now we're starting to explore our inner world. But then the lecture introduces this second meditation, visualizing a cube, meditating on salt crystals, and connecting with earth spirits. Honestly, I'm a little lost.
Well, this meditation is all about grounding ourselves in the physical world, connecting with the element of earth. Salt is a powerful symbol of purification and grounding, and by visualizing yourself as a crystal, you're tapping into that state of stability and clarity.
So we're taking all this mystical knowledge and actually applying it to our everyday lives, using it to feel more grounded and present.
Exactly. And that brings us to the Kabbalistic concept of the four worlds: Atziluth, Braya, Yetzirah, and Asaya.
4 worlds. Now you're really testing my memory. Can you give me a quick rundown?
Think of them as different levels of reality. Atziluth is the purest spiritual realm, the source of divine emanation. Braya is the realm of creation, where divine ideas take form. Yetzirah is the realm of formation, where those forms become more concrete. And then there's Asaya, the material world we experience through our senses.
So we're journeying through different layers of reality, from the purely spiritual to the tangible.
You got it. And the Tree of Life acts as a map for navigating those realms.
This lecture is like a crash course in esoteric philosophy and symbolism. It's a lot to take in, but it's also incredibly rich.
And we're just scratching the surface. There are so many layers of meaning to explore.
You've definitely piqued my curiosity. I'm ready to dive deeper. But before we do, the lecture mentions these 10 houses of Asaya. Are those like cosmic houses? And do we each get one?
Think of them more like spheres of influence, representing how cosmic energies manifest in our lives. Health, relationships, career, spiritual growth, it's all connected.
So it's like astrology, but on a deeper level.
You could say that. It's about understanding how the planets exert subtle but real influences on our lives.
Okay, this is seriously fascinating. This lecture has given us so much to think about already, and I can't wait to see where else this deep dive takes us.
Me too. Let's keep exploring. And that's just the beginning. This lecture goes on to this whole glossary of terms related to the Tree of Life. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, my head's already spinning a bit, but all right, let's dive into this glossary. Where do we even start?
Well, one of the first things it talks about is the divine names attributed to each sephira on the Tree of Life. It's like a whole cosmic who's who.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me the divine rundown.
So at the very top, we have Kether, which is associated with the name Ihaya, meaning I am in Hebrew, and it's also linked to the archangel Metatron.
I am. Wow, that's pretty powerful. It makes sense that it would be at the top of the tree. So what comes after Kether?
Well, then you've got Chukma, Bina, Chizd, Geburah, all these different names and angelic beings connected to various aspects of creation. Each sephira is like a different facet of the divine.
It sounds incredibly complex, like a whole cosmic hierarchy. Is there a way to simplify this, make it a little more relatable?
Sure. Imagine the divine as like this incredible source of light, pure energy. As that light shines out, it goes through these different prisms, and each prism creates a different color, a different quality of light. Each sephira is like one of those prisms, reflecting a unique aspect of that divine light.
Okay, I like that analogy. So each sephira is its own expression of the divine. What about those angelic beings you mentioned? Where do they fit in?
Each sephira is also associated with a whole choir of angels. It adds another layer to this cosmic order. Like for Kether, the choir is the Kayaf HaKadesh, which translates to the holy living creatures. They're often depicted with wings and many faces, symbolizing their multifaceted nature.
So it's like each sephira has its own entourage of celestial beings, all working together to manifest a specific aspect of the divine.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you bring in the planetary associations. Each planet has its own corresponding angel, intelligence, and spirit. Like Saturn, which is often associated with limitations and challenges, is linked to the angel Cassiel and the intelligence Agiel. But it also has a darker aspect represented by the spirit Zalzal.
Wait, Saturn has a dark side. I thought the planets were supposed to be these, like, benevolent guides.
Well, just like everything in the universe, even the planets have duality, a light and shadow aspect. Saturn might represent discipline and structure, but it can also be restrictive, leading to feelings of isolation or fear.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows with these celestial influences.
Not quite, but that's the point. Understanding the dualities is crucial, recognizing that every force has the potential for both good and ill, and it's up to us to work with these energies consciously.
So even with the planets, it's all about balance, finding that middle path.
Exactly. And remember, these planetary influences are also at work within each of us. We all have a bit of Saturn, a bit of Jupiter, a bit of Venus, in our astrological makeup. It's about understanding how those energies play out in our own lives and how we can integrate them in a harmonious way.
This is seriously fascinating stuff. Okay, so we've got our divine names, our planetary correspondences. Oh, but then the lecture mentions the tarot. Is that even related to all of this?
Absolutely. The tarot is often seen as a symbolic representation of the tree of life, each card corresponding to a particular sephira or path. It's like a visional guide to the soul's journey, exploring those archetypes and experiences that shape us.
Wait, so the tarot isn't just about fortune telling, it's actually connected to this whole system of spiritual symbolism.
It can be used for divination, yes. But it's also a really powerful tool for self-discovery and spiritual exploration. The traditional deck has 78 cards divided into 4 suits, just like regular playing cards. Wands, cups, swords, and pentacles.
Okay, that sounds familiar. But how do those suits connect to the tree of life or alchemy?
Well, each suit represents a different element, a different aspect of human experience. Wands are associated with fire and action, much like that sulfur principle we were talking about earlier. Cups are connected to water and emotions, representing the flow of feelings, relationships. Swords are linked to air and intellect, thought, communication. And pentacles are associated with earth and materiality, grounding us in the physical world.
So the suits are like a mini map of the elements, each representing a specific area of life.
Exactly. And the numbered cards within each suit, from ace to 10, represent different stages of development within that realm. It's like a journey through the ups and downs, the challenges and triumphs of each element.
And what about those major arcana cards, the ones with all the, symbolic figures? They always seemed more mysterious.
The major arcana, those represent those archetypal figures and experiences that are universal to the human journey. You've got the Fool embarking on a new adventure, the Magician wielding the power of manifestation, the High Priestess representing intuition and wisdom, the Empress embodying abundance and creativity. Each card is like a portal into a different facet of human experience.
So the major arcana is giving us a roadmap for the spiritual path, those challenges and triumphs we encounter as we evolve.
Precisely. And it's a journey that's mirrored in the alchemical process, that journey of transformation and refinement that ultimately leads to spiritual gold.
It's incredible how we've gone from alchemical principles to the Tree of Life and now the Tarot, and it all seems to be weaving together.
That's the beauty of these traditions. They offer this multifaceted, interwoven tapestry of knowledge. They can really guide us on our own journeys of self-discovery.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how each piece fits into this larger puzzle. I'm definitely ready to keep exploring.
Me too. There's still so much more to uncover.
You know, it's amazing how all these different systems we've been talking about, alchemy, Kabbalah, the Tarot, they all seem to be pointing towards the same basic truths.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they're all speaking the same language, just with different accents.
And that language seems to be about symbols and correspondences, a way of understanding the world that goes beyond just the physical stuff.
Exactly. They offer a different way of looking at those big mysteries, different paths up the same mountain, you know?
And I guess that mountain is self-knowledge, understanding who we are and where we fit in this whole cosmic scheme of things.
Right. And all those tools these traditions offer, like meditation, working with symbols, rituals, it's all designed to help us on that journey.
Yeah, like a map and compass for navigating our inner world.
Exactly. But I can see how it can all feel a bit overwhelming. Where do you even start with all this information? How do you apply it to your life?
That's what I'm wondering too. It's a lot to take in.
Well, the great thing is there's something here for everyone. The key is to approach it with an open mind. Just start with what resonates with you, what sparks your interest. Don't get caught up in all the details or jargon.
So it's not about memorizing definitions. It's about finding what speaks to your soul.
Exactly. Read different things, experiment with different practices, and see what comes up. Maybe you'll be drawn to the tarot, or maybe you'll want to try that salt crystal meditation. It's all about finding your own path.
Like we've been given the key to a huge library, and now we get to choose which books we want to read.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, the most important transformation happens within us. Those symbols and practices are just tools. The real magic is in refining our character, expanding our consciousness, connecting to something bigger than ourselves.
So it's not really about turning lead into gold. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that spark of the divine within each of us, that sol philosopherum, and letting it shine. It's about embracing change even when it's messy and trusting that something beautiful can come from those dark moments.
Well said. That's a powerful message, I think. We've only scratched the surface of alchemy and Kabbalah, but hopefully this deep dive has sparked some curiosity and inspired you to explore more. What stood out to you? What questions do you have? Keep exploring, folks. The journey continues.